couple of months ago, myself and a couple of people from our parish's staff were in a meeting with the director of youth ministry for the Archdiocese of Indianapolis. He's a new director. Paul Cifuentes is his name, a very insightful and very, very happy that he's working for our diocese. And we were discussing just the difficulty from the parish's perspective of trying to get some families to engage more in the life of the parish, especially in the midst of raising children and the busyness of family life. And it was raised in that meeting by one of our staff members that it seems sometimes that the church is perceived to be a safe place to say no to, that there's no kind of consequence or immediate consequence if you say no to the church. There may be immediate consequences if you say no to some other commitment or obligation, but it's okay to kind of say no to participating in certain things in the church. And the director of youth ministry for the Archdiocese, Paul Cifuentes, began just kind of talking and expounding on, it's kind of a different day with family life and parents. But the one thing that we can be sure of is that parents, all parents, want to have a good family. All of those who come to Mass, send their kids to Catholic schools or put them in CCD, they all have that kind of common mission. Every parent wants to raise good children. Every parent wants to have and raise a good home. And so kind of the challenge was, okay, well, how do we join parents now in this kind of mission and identifying what they believe to be the qualities of having a good home, the qualities of being a good family, but joining them in their intention to raise a good family. In the 60s and 70s, or in the 60s or 70s, there was this priest by the name of Monsignor Ivan Illich, and he worked in Mexico. And he founded a number of language schools down there and founded a number of missions to help a very impoverished Mexican population. And in the 60s or 70s, he was hired to come give a talk in the United States to a group of college students who were about to go to the area where he worked in Mexico and to go on mission down there to help to serve the poor. And it was very peculiar that they hired and asked Monsignor Ivan Illich to kind of come and give them an orientation and give them a talk, because Monsignor Ivan Illich did not want American college students coming down to Mexico on mission. And that's kind of how he started out his speech. He said, "I have no idea why you've asked me to come talk to you." And he said, "Look, I understand that you guys have all these good intentions, that you want to take time on an otherwise break, a free time in your life, and to go and serve the poor, to go and be with, in solidarity, those who are impoverished, maybe to serve food, to help them in various projects. That's a laudable intention," he said. But then he said, "To hell with your good intentions. To hell with your good intentions." And he began to talk to them about how these students do more harm than good. And I don't necessarily agree with Illich in this, but he does seem to have somewhat of a point. He said, "You guys go down there, college students, and you have all this money, all this wealth. You live this lifestyle that is impossible for them. You sell them a life that they'll never be able to attain." And he said, "It'd be better if you just took the money that you're spending to go down there, give me that money, and then I can put it in service of the mission." But his point being, sometimes good intentions, no matter how good, do harm when we follow through on them. We have this intention of raising up good families, good homes. And I'm not saying that raising good children, raising good homes, raising good families does more harm than good. It certainly does good. But we are not called to just simply be good families. That is not why we come here. That is not what our Lord calls us to. We are called, and our intention must be to be holy families. It is not good enough to just simply be committed to one another. It's not good enough to just simply be respectful of one another. It's not good enough to even just laugh and have joy in our home. It's not good enough to be responsible. It's not good enough to be an enduring home, an enduring family. It's not good enough to be forgiving. It's not good enough to be generous. It is good enough if all of that is recast in what we are supposed to be: a holy family. We look at the Holy Family and we see, our tradition has these beautiful statues, these beautiful depictions, these pristine depictions of an extraordinary family. And we forget sometimes that they were just a family. They had all these good qualities. They had every good intention. They also had every single struggle that every family deals with. They were an ordinary family. But what made them extraordinary was the fact that Jesus Christ was born into that family. He is the one that consecrated that family and elevated it to its extraordinary status, its pristine status, the status that has been changing the world for over 2,000 years. That home, that holy home in Nazareth. I challenge us to forget the intention to be a good family. It's not good enough to be a good family in the 21st century. Our counties, our parishes, our communities don't necessarily simply need good families. We do have a lot of good families, and thanks be to God for that. What we need are holy families, homes where Jesus Christ is at the center of it. And He alone, that's the unique quality of a holy family. The uniqueness of that quality of holiness is it is caused by Him, someone from the outside coming into our midst. He is the one that causes the holiness of our homes. He is the one that causes the holiness of our lives and our families. And so it's not that we disregard these good qualities of commitment, of respect, of love, of forgiveness, of generosity, of responsibility. We do not set those aside, but we do all of them in light of the one who has been born into our life to recast it all as holy. We are not called to be just good. We are called to be holy. And we can join in that great mission of that home in Nazareth, of transforming the world around us through the consecration of our families, just as Jesus Christ consecrated that first holy family of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.